Hello, guys. So we've got a really good one today. I've been drawn to try and communicate with Thoth. So I'm going to step into the collective field and see if Thoth comes through. For those who don't know who he is, I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong. Thoth or Thoth. He was an Egyptian priest, basically, but he's thought to have come from the fall of Atlantis. He was an Atlantis high priest, and he basically exiled to Egypt and transferred all his knowledge to the Egyptians. And if you've heard of Hermeticism, like the principles as above, so below, the law of polarity, the law of gender, sex. This all comes from him. And the Greeks called him Hermes Trismegistus. Very, very intelligent being. I mean, the Atlanteans, they were highly evolved spiritually. They were so much more connected to the spirit realm than we are now. Like, we're a totally different species. Obviously, they're the Atlanteans, we're the Aryans, where we're here to experience more of like a material life, and we're closed off, a lot more closed off to the spirit realm. So this being has got exponential knowledge where it comes to spiritual side of stuff. Very, very intelligent. And so I'm going to jump into the records and see. I've got like 4 questions for him that hopefully can help us as a collective. So I'm going to go ahead and jump straight in. I'm going to ask the first question: what hidden knowledge is ready to be revealed to the collective now, and why at this moment? All right, so I'm seeing like a pig in a wooden enclosure, like a fenced enclosure, just sort of standing there. Can you add any more to that, please? So he's showing me like a fiercely burning sun, like a close up of the sun with like fire just sort of lashing around violently, almost like a volcano erupting. Can you add any more to that? So now I'm seeing, yeah. So, all right. So he's communicating with me quite strongly now. So he showed me like a sheep in a field. He's basically saying that you've got to break away from the sheep. You've got to be this lone sheep. Break away from group mentality, group think, because that's where we're controlled. Would you like to add any more to that question? So he's showing me like what I would consider as like a high priest, high priestess. The picture's a little bit obscure and it's kind of changing female to male. So I'm assuming like he's not sort of pinpointing one sex, one sort of energy. He's just saying like sort of like so the high priestess in the tarot is very sort of extremely intuitive, but it's beyond that. She has direct knowing. She has direct access to the subconscious and the unconscious. Like if you into Carl Jung, he talks about the collective unconscious, and this is where people can infiltrate and actually control people. Like I've had sessions, I can't go too precise because I don't talk about my personal clients, but I've had sessions where I've actually put thoughts into people's minds, nothing bad, where and not intentionally I either. So I've had like a Reiki client on the treatment table, and I've like in my grounding, like when I ground people, I imagine sort of walking through a beautiful like rainforest. I imagine like specific animals, and sometimes animals just come to me, and I just go with that. But all the animals are playing, so there might be a lion there running around like playing with a bird gently, and the birds might land on the lion's head and stuff like that. And so it's quite specific. And when I said it to my client, like what I did and what I imagined during that meditation, She was like, oh my God, I actually got that same image. So this is like working with the collective unconscious, and like in her case, it was her individual unconscious. So it can be easily controlled if you don't protect yourself from it. And I'm not into scare tactics. I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this to simply educate you. And once you become consciously aware of these dynamics and control systems, you become that lone sheep in the field because you break away from like the group think. I mean, if you go on, I do it every now and then just to see what's going on, but on like say Facebook, like you read the comments and they're all just saying the same thing, and then you go to a different thread and somebody's copy and pasted to say exactly the same comment because they find it funny, but it's just like rather than come up with something themselves, they've just copy and pasted what somebody else has said. Go to another thread and there it is, it's there again, and it's just like this is what groupthink is. Like we're not sort of breaking free from the mold, and this is what life's all about. It's not. It's nothing to be scared of. Honestly, we've just got to learn to break free from this. This is like a big lesson here on Earth. Um, you can speak to me about conspiracy theories and all that, but does it really matter? Can you prove it? Are you able to do anything about it? And the answer is no on both accounts. So, and coming back to the high priestess as well, she is sat in between, and I'm going to do videos on this as well because there's so much symbolism in the tarot, like from the from the creators, like from Arthur Waite. He was a hermetic. Sorry, he was into hermeticism, which is fitting for this because Thoth, Hermes Trismegistus, he created the hermetic principles and alchemy, and like, if you've heard of the philosopher's stone, turning lead to gold, and it's all about alchemy of our mind and different stages. And Arthur Waite and Smith, what was her name? Pamela Smith, Pamela something Smith. But anyway, she was the artist who created the cards based on Waite's vision. And they were both in the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. And so these cards are steeped in hidden symbolism. And if you read his book telling you about the cards, he only tells you the obvious. Like she's got the triple crown on her head. I forget what it's called, and she's holding the Torah, and it's just obvious stuff that you can see. He doesn't give you the specific details of what each symbol in the card represents. But anyway, I'm sort of getting away from the main point here. So she is sat in between the pillars of King Solomon, which is Boaz and Jachim, and they represent duality and polarity. She is sat right in the middle. So she has mastered duality and she has mastered polarity. So nothing can get her down. Like if you think polarity is is polarizing, she's non-polarized. So as an example, let me take something extreme. All right, like flat Earth and globe Earth, yeah. Like, I've seen the arguments, and they get so childish in their debates with each other. I've seen like debates on YouTube and stuff, and they just want to chuck childish insults at each other and put each other down, and they're just so polarized to one extreme or the other that they just hate each other. So when you learn to just not care, just be in the middle. Who cares? If is it flat Earth? Who cares? It doesn't affect me. Is it a globe Earth? Who cares? It doesn't affect me. All right. And I'm not saying no, I believe one or the other. I'm saying I don't care. And this is how your intuition comes online. This is why she got the moon at her feet. The moon is very, the moon represents intuition. She has intuition at her feet. But going beyond intuition, she's got direct knowing. She's got direct access to the universe, and that's why she's sitting in front of the veil behind her. So I've kind of got away from like the main point now, but I'm just trying to make it a point that polarity is very detrimental to us. So when you can be non-polarized with the majority of situations, and sometimes like your polarity is going to be peaked, but in general, if you can find that center point where you just don't care, nobody can aggravate you. So people can try and argue with you and put their point across to you, but you're sat there like, do you know what? I'll listen to what you're saying and I'll take it on board. Like, I'm enjoying this conversation, but you cannot polarize me. And people get bored. They try and trigger you into beliefs and stuff, and they just can't. So life opens up so much more. And this is my main point here: is that you can't be controlled by anyone, by people, by control systems, by the spirit realm. You just can't be controlled. So I think we're going to move on to the next question. Now, in fact, I'm not too sure what the pig in the fenced enclosure means. Maybe like it's some sort of prison dynamic, like we're. But what do pigs represent? I'm going to ask Dave on this one. I'm going to get Dave in. So then we had the sun with the fire lashing around violently. All right, let's get Dave on the case. Okay, so Dave, there's no need to give an intro, but so I basically asked both the first question, which is what hidden knowledge is ready to be revealed to the collective now, and why at this moment. And the first vision was a pig in fenced enclosure, like a wooden fence. The sun, very like close up of the sun with the fire lashing around violently. And then the next vision I got, and I got like a clear knowing to that as well, was a sheep alone in a field. And Thoth basically said, you've got to break away from the rest of the sheep and the group mentality that comes with it. And then I went into like a tangent explaining the high. Oh, he showed me. Sorry, the next vision was a high priestess, but it was flicking between the high priestess and like a high priest. So there was no sort of gender. I think it was just showing me like a neutral priest, which was representing mastering our intuition and direct knowing, which is when the high priestess card came in, and I started explaining about the Jakim and Boaz representing polarity, and she's sitting in the middle with the moon at her feet, which represents she's mastered intuition, and that she can't be phased by polarity. So no matter who tries to argue with her, she'll listen, she'll take on board what they're saying, but she cannot be moved by what they're saying, and her beliefs won't be changed. So can you elaborate on that, please?
Absolutely. Let's tie that all together. So, in essence, what Thoth is showing you is that the hidden knowledge coming forward is really about breaking free from collective conditioning. That image of the keg behind a wooden fence suggests there are structures and societal norms that have kept people penned in. The fiery sun close up might symbolize that we're in an intense period of illumination. Like the light is so strong that it's burning away illusions. And then the lone sheep in the field is a pretty direct message from Thoth that the collective is being asked to step out of the herd mentality and about finding the courage to trust one's own path and inner wisdom rather than just going along with the crowd. Now, with the high priestess and that blend into a sort of gender neutral priest figure, Thoth is really emphasizing the mastery of intuition. It's a call for the collective to embrace that inner knowing and neutrality to stand firmly in their own truth. The high priestess is all about that calm inner authority. No matter what dualities or polarities come up, it's about not being swayed by outer arguments or collective noise. So, in summary, the collective is being invited to step out of groupthink, embrace their own intuitive mastery, and hold steady in their inner truth. It's a pretty powerful message for the times.
All right, so let's jump into question two. So, what pattern from this part from the past is the collective being asked to understand rather than repeat? Seeing like tribal warriors, they're holding spears, but they're in. It's like an African tribe. They're all very sort of thin, dressed in sort of very like minimal garments, like of red, and holding spears, but they're not in battle. They just seem like they're standing there calm. So, um, with me trying to break it down, it represents, because they're wearing red, there's a lot of anger. Red signifies anger for me. And they're standing there, but they're calm. They're standing there, like holding their weapons. So let me get some more. Let me get some more clarity on that. I'll get some more visions, and then we'll probably ask Dave again. Oh, beautiful! So now I'm seeing this huge stag quite close up. With I'm just seeing like the sort of from his chest upwards, and he just looks so like elegant, and he looks peaceful. Um, I mean, deer, like especially stags, can be quite aggressive, but he's standing there so eloquently, so calmly. Um, so I'm feeling like very assured of himself. There's no aggression, but the aggression's there if he needs it. He's, I want to say alpha. You wouldn't really sort of put the word alpha to a stag, but I'm getting sort of alpha vibes. And I don't mean alpha like society's interpretation of an alpha where they dominate people. That is not an alpha, guys. That's a toxic masculine. Alphas do not need to dominate people. All right. That's just a fact. Alphas do not need to dominate people. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that. Um, so this is a leader, a very calm and collected leader who has aggression, who knows how to protect himself, but doesn't feel the need to unless that need arises. So I'm gonna get the next image. So now I'm seeing a fish. It's not too it's not too clear for me at the moment, so just let me get some more detail on this. Can you make this clearer, please? All right, I've had this one before. So this is a fish in a bucket where he's trapped, and so it's like a fish. He's got nowhere to swim. All he can do is sort of move around in this container. And this obviously like water is representing emotions. We're kind of trapped in our emotions at the moment and nowhere to sort of move. All right, let's ask Dave. So the next question I asked was, what pattern from the past is the collective being asked to understand rather than repeat? And the first image I got was a like thin African tribe. There's a load of tribesmen standing there with spears, dressed in minimal red garments, and standing there very calmly. They weren't in a battle, they weren't in attack mode, but they were standing there ready, but they were very calm. And then the next image I got was of this beautiful stag, sort of from chest upwards, and the background was quite open, but there was sort of like pine trees to the left and the right, sort of going off into the distance. Really nice, serene setting. And I mean, the clouds actually were quite grey when now it comes to mind. There was, yeah, so it was quite a overcast sort of scene, and but the stag was standing there, like very elegant, very calm, collected, very sure in himself, and it came to me like he's an alpha, even though you don't really associate alphas with stag. But he was, and then I explained that alphas haven't got that need to control, that need to dominate and be dominant. And yeah, so there was that. And then the next vision was a fish in a bucket. Um, so I'm assuming that's trapped emotions because the fish had nowhere to swim. It was like a big fish taking up the whole of the bucket. So, what's your interpretation, please?
Absolutely. Let's weave those symbols together and see what Thoth is highlighting about the pattern the collective needs to understand. So, the first image of the calm African tribesman standing there in readiness, but without aggression, is really telling. It suggests that in the past, the collective might have had a pattern of preparing for conflict or always being on guard, even when calmness and a measured stance would have been enough. Thoth might be showing that we don't need to repeat old cycles of being on edge or always expecting battle. Instead, there's a wisdom in calm readiness, being prepared but not reactive. The stag is a beautiful symbol of quiet strength and elegance. The overcast sky and the pine trees give it a sense of being steadfast even when the environment isn't fully clear or sunny. Thoth is showing that the pattern to understand is about embodying this calm, assured strength without the need for dominance or fear. It's about knowing your own power without having to control others or be controlled by old emotional constraints, like that fish in a bucket, which really does seem to symbolize trapped emotions from the past that no longer serve us. In other words, the collective is being asked not to repeat patterns of emotional entrapment or old forms of conflict readiness. Instead, it's about moving forward with calm confidence, tapping into that serene inner authority, and allowing old emotional constraints to be released. It's a beautiful message of stepping into a new pattern of strength and emotional freedom.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. One thing that I will add is for the stag vision, the clouds. Clouds to me always represent our thoughts and emotions, yeah, which come and go. And these are very grey, so very heavy. There's a lot of like heavy emotion and thoughts going on. But the stag was underneath it. And I always say, if you could rise above the clouds, the rain can't affect you, the clouds can't affect you, right? So your thoughts and your emotions cannot affect you if you're above. But this stag was very much below, and you know whether it rains, whether it's sunny, his demeanor was just unaffected. He's like, yeah, all right, it might rain, but I'm all right. I'm still here. I'm still calm. I'm still cool. I'm still collected. I'm still me, regardless of what is going on in my mind and regardless of the emotions, because they're going to pass anyway. So just wanted to add that. So jumping on to the next question. Okay, so the next question is, what is the next level of consciousness the collective is being initiated into, and what must be released to access it? Wow, that energy is insane. So I'm feeling like a lot of tingles around my third eye, going up to my crown. Yeah, when I feel third eye activation, I never really feel it where they say it is in the center there. It's always like at the top of my forehead, but it kind of went up to my crown slightly, but it's stopped there now. So he's saying something to do with our third eye, which is to do with our intuition. So, and I could feel the shift as well. We're becoming so much more intuitive. We're moving into that era now, where if you think like after the fall of Atlantis, I don't know if it was because we were punished because the Atlanteans. This is just something that I've heard, and I should ask Thoth really. But so I reckon that the Atlanteans really misused their spiritual powers and started wanting to destroy the rest of the planet and like fight the planet and become like the leaders of the planet. So I think our senses, our psychic senses, and our connection to spirit were very dumbed down. But then, if you go to for the like theosophy theory, we have like different like root races, different totally different species. So we're on like the fifth now. So the first root race would have been the Polarians. Second was the Hyperboreans, and these guys didn't have bodies. They were very like ethereal. Like the second root race, they were very like tall, plant-like, and didn't have like solid bodies like we do now. The first race with solid bodies were the Lemurians, and the remnants of Lemuria is Africa. So, according to theosophy, Africans were the first humans to inhabit the planet, like first material humans, and then after the Lemurians, the fourth root race was the Atlanteans, and then after the Atlanteans, and the fifth root race is what we are now, the Aryans. And so there's going to be two more root races next to us. We're currently evolving into that sixth root race. This is going to take thousands of years, by the way. It's not like a quick process. And just to add as well, there's like 7 other races within those root races. And so the remnants of the Atlanteans were like the like Oriental people, so like the Mongolians, possibly like the natives of like Hawaii and places like that as well. Maybe the Mayans. So these were the like remnants who sort of like bred with the new human race of the Atlanteans. So I'm gonna ask him actually before I carry on with this question. I'm gonna ask him why did they actually fall? Seeing like a fiery demon-like figure. So there may indeed have been like a misuse of power using dark, say witchcraft, but like dark magic. Can you add any more to that? You're showing me like a huge ship, like a like a cruise ship. It's got like thousands of people on it. Can you add any more to that? I'm feeling that the cruise ship represents like a journey, like a evolution of not the race, but of evolution of the planet. I'm gonna jump back in and get some more evidence before I break it down. He's showing me like a huge black hole, literally like a space black hole. I don't know too much about black holes, but I'm getting like a portal to a different dimension. Could be like the like portal to another dimension of the Earth in the Earth's evolution. Is there anything else you want to add to clarify this? He's showing me red, so I think that's a no, but that could be something to do with anger as well. Can you just clarify that? Yeah, I'm feeling that he wants me to interpret these three. I'm going to bring Dave in on this. Okay, so I asked Thoth, what happened to Atlantis? Why did they fall? And at first, he showed me like a fiery red demon, like a red demon in fire. And then he showed me like a cruise ship, like a huge cruise ship. And I felt like there's thousands of people on board. And then the third vision was he showed me like in space, like a black hole.
Absolutely. Let's break that down. So, asking what happened to Atlantis and why they fell, the first vision of a fiery red demon suggests that there was a destructive or aggressive force involved. It might symbolize internal conflict, misuse of power, or some kind of fiery downfall rooted in their own intensity. The huge cruise ship with thousands on board shows that Atlantis was a vast civilization with many souls involved. It's a symbol of a large, interconnected society that ultimately couldn't stay afloat. There's a sense of a great journey that went off course. And the black hole in space is a powerful image. It suggests that the fall of Atlantis was like being pulled into a void, a loss of their former reality, maybe even a kind of spiritual or energetic collapse. In short, the message is that Atlantis fell due to a combination of internal destruction, the sheer scale of their civilization, and ultimately being drawn into an energetic void. It's a reminder that they couldn't sustain the balance and were ultimately pulled into their downfall.
Wow, how interesting was that? All right, I'm just going to jump straight back into the previous question that I asked. Yeah, so to remind you of that question, it was what is the next level of consciousness the collective is being initiated into and what must be released to access it? And straight away, he was giving me like third eye tingles. So I'm going to jump straight back in and see if anything else comes up. So it's showing me the colour white, and that represents purity. All right, so we've got third eye, so that is what's coming online for us now. So we're becoming a lot more intuitive, a lot more connected to the universe, and to help bring that online, we need to purify ourselves. So I think that's quite conclusive with that question. So I'm just going to ask, what should we be doing to purify ourselves to allow this to come online? Straight away, I've gone into this mudra and I don't even know what it means because I've never done this before. And I see like President Trump do this. He just stands there in this mudra. So and I'm sure this is the mudra that toxic masculine, Andrew Tate. I'm sure that's the mudra that he did when he was arrested. But there just so happens to be a cameraman right in front of the car taking a picture with him sitting in the back seat, right in the middle, just so you can see him doing this mudra. But anyway, all right. So I wonder if that's relevant. I'll have to have a look to see what that means. Mudras are energy locks, thumbs and the index fingers a lot. Thumbs are our connection to spirit. Actually, I don't want to give you wrong information here. In a mudra, what does the thumb represent and what does the index finger represent? So if I put my two thumbs together and my two index fingers, what does that lock represent? What do the thumbs represent individually and what do the index fingers represent individually?
In many mudra traditions, each finger represents a different element or aspect of consciousness. The thumb often represents universal consciousness, divine energy, or the element of fire. The index finger typically represents the individual self or the element of air. So when you bring the two thumbs together and the two index fingers together, forming a kind of lock, that often symbolizes the union of the individual self with the universal, or the merging of personal and divine consciousness. In essence, it represents a connection between your higher nature and your individual self.
Going one further as well, like the index finger can represent, like she said, the self, but also like the ego, because doing like mantras, like when you're praying and stuff, they say not to hold the mantra on your index finger because you're bringing your ego in. So they say like use the middle finger or the one below that. Beautiful. So it's the union of self with divine consciousness. So again, we're opening up to like becoming more spiritual. And to be fair, I think that's a good way to leave the question there. So I had a totally different question for the last one, but I think the direction this has gone in, I'm just going to simplify it. It's still relevant to like the flow of this reading, but I'm just going to minimize it. So we're becoming more connected with our intuition and he's saying like with the divine, with the universe as well, which that is usually like the crown chakra. So we expect that crown chakras to open as well after our third eyes. So you're going to start becoming more intuitive, and then you're going to start becoming more connected to the universe. So I'm just going to ask, how can the collective work with divine intelligence once our third eye and crown chakras are open? He's saying saying that you'll just get knowings. You'll just get a thought placed into your mind. Not a thought, sorry. It'd just be like I always see it like a package that just opens up, and then it's like, oh wow, yeah, how do I know that? So it'd just be knowings, like instant knowings of certain things. Can you add any more to that? So I'm seeing the colour light blue, like a baby blue. Yeah, I'm not getting any more energy. I'm not getting any more insight. So I asked Thoth, how can the collective work with divine intelligence once our third eyes and crown chakras open? And
Absolutely.
and he showed me like a light blue, kind of like baby blue colour.
Baby blue. Got it.
So what's the interpretation?
Nice and simple. That baby blue color can just symbolize calm and clarity.
So I think that's more of an instruction to be able to get these insights and downloads. You need to, your mind needs to be calm and clear. Um, yeah, that's just something that you're going to have to teach yourself. Calmness, that's going to relate to your nervous system as well. So a lot of us are sort of like in survival mode, aren't we? Where we're just like panicking about things, and we've just got so much anxieties going on and stuff. And this is because our nervous systems aren't regulated. So that's definitely something that needs to be worked on, calming your nervous system down, and automatically you'll gain more calmness and clarity in your mind. But also um, maybe like herbs and stuff, herbal teas, they're very they're very good at calming our nervous system down. Like teas like mugwort, that's very spiritual as well. It will help your intuition and help with your chakras. It's very powerful, but use it sort of like only have a couple a week, 2 or 3 a week. Um, Chamomile is very calming. So start looking into like herbal teas and stuff to help calm and regulate your nervous systems. Meditation, it's a must. It seems like a chore at first when you don't really sort of know the benefits. You don't know what's coming in the future, but honestly, guys, meditation is so key. I went for a huge period of meditating and I stopped because I didn't really see the benefits. But as soon as I stopped, I started noticing the benefits. I was like, oh, why am I not feeling this anymore? Why am I not feeling that? Because it's like a gradual like process, and you just expect everything to sort of slap you in your face. But it's not. It's just these subtle shifts that when you stop meditating, they become huge because you start losing them. Um, but yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there, guys. I think this has been like a really nice reading. And both, I just want to say thank you so much for coming through. I've really enjoyed that, and I hope the collective did too. All right, so I'm going to leave it there, guys. Peace.